This is a meditation on temperance. Now, I'd like to talk for half an hour about temperance and see what am I going to say. I call it meditation because for me, this is a special exercise which I use to train particular skills. There are two types of meditation, two general types or most common types. One is when we try to stop our thoughts and focus on our breath and our feelings and our sensations. In this case, we try to avoid all thoughts, and whenever our mind generates some pictures or some images, or whenever it engages in self-talk, our goal is to shut it down. So instead of allowing ourselves to think about certain things, we simply focus on breath and maintain this for a certain period of time. The other type of meditation, which is the type which I'm working on right now, is exactly the opposite one. So instead of being silent, instead of getting rid of all my thoughts, what I'm trying to do is to speak as much as possible. You may think about it as an exercise where, for example, somebody tells you to relax. Let's suppose that you are nervous and somebody just tells you relax. And usually it doesn't work. So in order to relax, you have to get rid of your nervousness. But it's impossible to do if you simply tell yourself, I have to relax, or I have to stop being nervous. So instead of that, imagine that somebody tells you, be as nervous as possible. Like, are you nervous? No, you're not nervous. Just show me the superlative of nervousness. Like, be very nervous. In this case, you may exaggerate on your nervousness. And hopefully, if you practice it for a while, you'll find that after 5, 10, 15 minutes, you'll be able to calm down naturally, simply because you exhaust all your nervousness, and you'll see how stupid it is actually to be nervous. So the same thing I'm doing here. I'm trying to talk. I choose a topic and I allow everything that comes to my mind be verbalized. So I allow myself to say anything what's going on without judging it. Obviously, sometimes I judge it, but this is the goal, to feel free and to speak as much as possible for a particular, like for a certain period of time. And I'm not claiming that I've achieved already that goal and I can do it easily, but this is what I'm trying to do. So this is my intention. I want to feel free whenever I talk to the camera without being overwhelmed by all this criticism, self-criticism, and without being attached to anything that I may say. I think that it's possible to get to this state. I certainly did that in the past when I used my native language. So when 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I was working on the same exercise using my native language, I finally got to the point where I could easily talk for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm not sure, like I did it without recording myself. So I did it simply by using a type recorder, and it was quite successful. So there was no criticism. I didn't care about what I said, or was it smart or wise or appropriate. It was more of a joke. So I just talked to myself for half an hour and I tried to release all the tension which I have, all negative emotions or all positive emotions. I try to learn my self. So I try to understand what am I doing, what kind of information bothers me, what I'd like to talk about, and what I try to suppress. So sometimes I allow my inner desires to take over, and sometimes I could talk about things which I wasn't able to even think about before. So the point is, you start talking and you see that after 10, 15, 20 minutes, something pops up, something that you never something that you never were conscious of. And then you talk about it for 20, 30 minutes, and it's a huge relief. So you may, once again, there's certain ways of looking at this exercise, and I'm trying to give you a side of a side self-criticism immediately. So whenever I use an inappropriate word or a word which doesn't actually work doesn't work here, even when I see that it doesn't express the meaning which I had when I was about to say it, I immediately feel self-criticism. But anyway, so today, as I said, the meditation is going to be about temperance. And this is the second meditation. I already done meditation on temperance the day before. I think now that temperance, there are two ways actually. Well, there are two meditations. Now let's make up two ways or two general types of temperance. And techniques, yeah, I would call it probably techniques which may be used to develop our temperance. So one of the techniques is simple. It's just like temperance. Let's use Aristotelian framework. So there's pleasure, and temperance is a moderation in terms of pleasure. So there may be too much pleasure, there may be too little. So if you find the mean, if you find the golden mean, this is temperance. And temperance allows you to moderate your passions, your desires in relation to pleasure. So there are two types. How you may, if you can't be temperate, if you, for example, like something too much, like let's suppose it's cookies or sex or playing video games or watching some videos, and you want to control it, you want to moderate your passions. One way of doing that is to get rid of your passion whatsoever. And this is the easiest way. So in terms of controlling your emotions, in terms of controlling your passions and doing all sorts of work related to emotional mastery, this is the most easiest way. So you simply say, okay, let's suppose I'm smoking, and I decided I'm going to quit smoking, and I quit smoking at once, and I no longer allow myself to smoke. This is the easiest way, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Now it's not I'm not talking about its utility. I'm talking about the two types. Like this first type is easier, and it's easier because you do it at once and then it doesn't bother you. But it's not the most effective way, since it's simply a repression or suppression. And it's not actually clear if you suppress something that you got rid of it. Sometimes it may come come to your dreams and bother you in your dreams. That's actually why I started talking about this these two types. Today I had a dream, and in this dream I ate chocolate, and it was I didn't want to eat chocolate, But in the dream, I grabbed the chocolate bar and ate it as as kids usually eat it very fast and without paying attention, without giving it a second thought. And now, recently, I decided to shift my diet. I decided to avoid eating all sorts of stuff like which contain carbohydrates. So I decided to avoid eating chocolate, bread, what else? Cookies, all sorts of cakes, and everything like that. And I started this new diet 2 weeks ago, and now I already have a dream where I eat chocolate. So my brain, I suppressed it. I didn't suppress it fully, so I still sometimes I eat very little. I eat honey, for example, and sometimes I eat bread, but very little. And my brain already starts generating dreams. I had the same in smoking. So when I quit smoking, I had the same dreams where I smoked. And I still have them now from time to time, quite rarely, maybe once in half a year or in few months. I don't actually count on them, not on them. I don't count them. And yeah, it's funny to see how these mechanisms, like you develop a habit, you do something, but then you decide to suppress it, you decide to quit, and then it just pops up when you have a dream. So when you can't have a direct control over your behavior. But it's still, like, for me, in my personal experience, I would say it's the easiest way, but it's never, I would say I could do it in terms of smoking, but it took me 7 years. So from the time when I declared an absolute war against smoking and decided to, like, I'm no longer going to smoke, it took me 7 years to win, from even 8 years, from 2007 till 2015. I had a strong, strong struggle against my habit. But now I don't have it. Sometimes it comes in smoking, in dreams. Oh man, today. All right, doesn't matter. So I'm judging myself. I'm criticizing my inability to be clear. I see I make many mistakes, and sometimes I say what I don't like to say. Again, it works. It's okay to emphasize it. It's not okay, but yeah, I'm trying to suppress it. See, the point is I'm trying to suppress it. I see that there's criticism. I know now it has no value if I simply it turns into complaining, and I see that it has no value, but still I can't do anything with that. If I say something silly, it just automatically comes to okay, let's stop. So the second technique, which may help develop our temperance, is a conscious work with the thing you actually want to cancel or you want to get rid of. If it's smoking, you do not quit smoking completely, but you do it consciously. Whenever you smoke, you are aware that you are smoking. And then you ask whether or not it's necessary. If it's necessary, you continue to do that without being upset about it or without being annoyed by it. If it's not necessary, you learn to get rid of it. But to get rid of it, that's the point. To really get rid of smoke or any type of behavior or a thing that you don't like, it's not enough to suppress it. You have to get back and see how it affects you. So last time in my previous meditation on temperance, I said that I okay, I said that I, for example, quit smoking, and I did it. Man, it's so terrible. I can't. No, I can't allow this. It's stupid. I see how stupid it is. I see that I can't say what I want to say, and it's so dull. I mean, I don't want to publish it. I don't want to show this. I don't want to show this to anybody. It's terrible. I can't say anything what I want to say. And wow, it's not just about mistakes. I say all the time. I can formulate a few sentences without being overwhelmed, without getting rid of the self-control. And this is what I'm doing here. So this is bloody meditation. This is what I mean by saying feel free. So when I feel free, I don't care. And I'm saying what I want to say and what I need to say. When I don't feel free, this is how it works. When I said, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. That's the point. So here I'm trying to work on my language. I'm trying to develop my thoughts. I learn to speak clearly and be excellent at my speech. And then I take a subject I have very little understanding. These two bloody types of temperance. I just made them up at the moment when I started speaking, and I knew nothing about them. And I started finding some reasons which may justify these two types. And those reasons, they were absolute nonsense. So whatever I said before, like if you were listening it from the beginning to this moment, it all was nonsense. Now I see it. Now I want to criticize it. I want to criticize myself from starting this idiotic behavior when I just take a topic, when I find some idea, and then I try to get evidence to justify this idea or to say that this idea makes sense. No, it doesn't make any sense. There's no two types of temperance. There's no two types of whatever else I said at the beginning. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's the idea. And this is the whole key to work on this meditation. So you just take something, like something temperance. Okay, this is temperance. This is what I know about temperance. There are two types of temperance. And then I talking about something that I have no idea whatsoever. I have some experience, right? And this is true. But this experience actually doesn't make a lot of sense. I haven't tried to analyze it, and I didn't prepare anything. I'm trying to think. This is the point. So if you, for example, read my, my whatever writing, you'll see that in my writing, I usually, and again, I'm trying to give some stupid examples to justify another point. It doesn't work. So what is temperance? I don't know. I'm trying to learn it. I'm trying to figure out how it works. There's Aristotelian, framework where it's moderation in terms of pleasure. So you have to be able to control your desires. If you know that you do something too much, you moderate it. You apply your reason, your mind, your language, and convince yourself that it's unnecessary. You might do it less. And if you do it less than necessary, you tell yourself, I have to do it more. A simple example is gymnastics and food. So your body may be not strong, and you need to do certain physical exercises which may help you to develop your body. But you don't do them because you don't have enough pleasure from doing them, or you don't know how to do them, or you may have you may do something else which you derive more pleasure from. And in this case, it's like this moderation basically implies that you know exactly what you have to do and how much you have to do that in terms of speaking. So I know that, for example, for me, if I start speaking to the camera and I proceed for 20, 30, 50 minutes, I may get to the point where I feel free, when I don't care too much about my grammar. I'm trying to, it doesn't mean that when I say I don't care, it doesn't mean that I allow myself to speak freely without using grammar. So I try to use grammar, but if I make a mistake or if my grammar is incorrect, I don't really criticize myself immediately, because it wouldn't work at all. So you could see it at the beginning of this video. So I'm trying to be excellent at grammar, and as soon as I make a mistake, it makes me feel bad. I try to ignore it. I try to proceed as if never happened, as if nothing happened. And then after 5 minutes, I start feeling even worse. And the more mistakes I make, the worse I feel. And finally, I see that I look so stupid. It's so terrible. And there's a thought in the background. I think, man, I have to publish it. It's terrible. I can't publish it. It's just, people will look at me and say, I'm crazy. I'm stupid. What am I talking about? And this makes it just unbearable. But then there's a shift, and I say, okay, it doesn't matter. Let's criticize it. Let's make fun of it. Since now it's like this criticism is not, I'm so stupid, I don't know what to do, and I complain about it over and over. This criticism, and, oh, that's funny. Let's see. You're a stupid idiot. I am stupid idiot. I can't say anything. Isn't that funny? Like, I decided to make a meditation. I'm going to upload it on YouTube and show everybody my stupidity. Like, and I wanted to show my smartness, of course. Before I started making this video, I was sitting and thinking, oh, I'm going to make a meditation. I'm going to teach people, or I'm going to show myself. I'm going to show how smart I am and how well I know language and how much I care about about knowledge, about understanding. And then I did, at the beginning it was kind of, it wasn't so bad. But then I started making mistakes, and it was so terrible. And wow, this temperance. So you use that temperance basically means that you know how much pleasure you have to get from particular activity, and how much of it you can control. I see that now. For me, temperance, I need to work on it in terms of, there are a lot of pain when I record these videos, especially at the beginning. There's a lot of pain. I know a few ways how to get rid of this pain. One is preparation. So I may write down like 10 questions and then go and talk about these questions. Even if I make mistakes, doesn't matter, since my goal is to analyze these questions and do some brainstorming. Another way is preparation. So I may outline 5, 10, 15 points. I may see how I can develop these points. Again, I prepare for half an hour, for an hour before, and then I simply do something which people usually do on YouTube, telling some stories and telling, developing some ideas. And this is the way to feel secure. But I place myself in a different mood, in a different framework. So here I want to feel insecure. I know that this is helpful for my brain to get as much neuroplasticity as possible. So when I feel terrible, when I know that what I'm doing is silly and I can't do it in any other way, it actually transforms my brain. There's some neurons. There are connections between these neurons, synapses, and these connections, they tend to change, but they unfortunately tend to change like neurons. These connections are changing. Well, okay, I don't want to talk about neurophysiology. I see it's still, I'm trying to explain something which I do not fully understand, or which I understand, but I have no no vocabulary to describe it, or which I'm unprepared. And again, I'm trying to say some stupid things. I'm trying to say like lots of things which I don't know. Temperance, that's how temperance works. Okay, I have just a few minutes to finish this exercise. It's already almost half an hour. I didn't say anything about temperance. I haven't said anything about temperance. Anything important. Of course, I used this word many times, but I didn't find anything. These two types of developing, your temperance. If I think about them, I guess I may prepare some interesting explanation. But without thinking, just simply starting talking about it, I see that it's very hard to be clear. It's very hard to be precise. Though it's quite, it seems to me quite easy. So I see this idea when you suppress something or when you try to rationalize something and you always get back. Probably I used a bad example, like smoking. I guess it's not as good example as video games. So if I talk about video games, for me, I'm struggling with this habit for 14 years. So it's the same amount of time when I started writing my journal. So I developed my journal in my language, essentially working on my negative habits and something that I wanted to get rid of. And these habits, like playing video games, I haven't won yet. So I'm still struggling with it. The last time I played video games was a month and 30 days, 50 days ago. Mostly it was chess. I was playing for 3 days and there another 3 days. In 2 weeks, I played for 6 days or maybe 7 days. And before it was 2 months ago, it was in not even 2.5 months ago. It was from April to May. So the idea is I don't want to quit fully. I want to quit in terms, I want to be able to control it. Instead of just suppressing it, I want to be able to get on the internet and play one game of chess a day or one game of whatever I'm playing a day, and which will not just make me crazy. Since if I play one game of chess, then it's 2 weeks and I'm playing almost for 10 or even more hours every day. And to win means you can, I'm sure that I'll probably get rid of this passion for video games if I am able to play one game a day for a month. The point is I want to get control over it. And to get control, I want to see that it doesn't affect me as it affected me before. That's the point. It's not completely getting rid of it, but gaining control over this passion, over this habit. In terms of food, it may be something like you eat one candy, there's 50 candies, and this is your passion, but you eat one, and that's all. And probably you eat one in 3 days. Instead of I don't eat at all, I eat one in 3 days. So the same with smoking, with drinking. In terms of smoking, it's probably you can smoke one cigarette a week or a month. Of course, now I don't want to risk, right? So in my I don't want to I haven't been smoking for 6 years, and for me, yeah, I repressed it. I've been repressing it for 8 years, and I've learned to smoke for a couple of days. Before I completely repressed it, I could just smoke for a couple of days, and I knew that I'll quit it anyway. So I always knew that whenever I smoke, it'll take a few days or a week at maximum, and then I'll quit. And yeah, I did that, and finally, I just now I don't need it. It doesn't bother me. Sometimes once once a year or once in half a year, it may come in my dreams, but it's still like an urge. I don't have any urge. to smoke. And I know that it's terrible for my health. But anything else, like playing video games, yeah, I want to gain control. I want to be able to play like one game of chess a day without being overwhelmed. But it, of course, it's against my other commitments and desires and the plans. So I know that if I dedicate an hour to play chess, I won't be able to spend as much time as I want to watching lectures or reading books or working on my writing skills or working on my speaking skills. So the same hour I might dedicate to this meditation and simply talk about whatever I'd like to talk and develop my language. Simply, I may just see now here I'm working on the particular concept, temperance, but my goal is not just to talk about temperance, to understand temperance, but also to train my speaking skills. So my goal is to be able to control my language, to make as less mistakes as possible, but at the same time being not annoyed by mistakes if I make them. And also there are other goals like avoiding fillers, avoiding repeating the same words over and over, being consistent, being clear, developing improvisation. This once I think this is one of the most important tasks which I work on here. So it's developing my improvisational skills. Since most of the time it's very easy for me to talk about anything for half an hour, for an hour, to be consistent if I prepare beforehand. But I'd like to be, spontaneous. Since I don't like people who prepare certain speeches and repeat, the same things over and over, but it's just one speech. So there are some guys on the internet, and you see they go from place to place and read their lectures, but essentially it's the same. They repeat the same thing over and over. So in their lectures, they basically there's some 10 exercises, and they talk about these 10 exercises in different order, but it's the same exercises, and they talk about them over years. So you see a guy talking about something 2010, then 2015, then 2020, and it's the same shit. The guy talks for 10 years about the same shit. I don't like it. I like to be spontaneous, and I think this is one of the most needed thing in conversations, since otherwise it's too boring to talk. Like for me, I don't find it boring, since I'd like to talk, and whenever there's an opportunity for speaking, I always use it. But to listen to other people for longer than 5 minutes, or I usually don't do that, but I listen to people on the internet, of course. But in real conversations, I can't withstand listening to somebody longer than 5 minutes, because people are usually boring. So they don't practice spontaneous speech. Okay, I think I have to finish here. It's already half an hour. See you next time.